Welcome everybody. We are about to start watching the MPC Consolation finals between Apollyon, who is the light side There Is Good in Him player at the bottom of your screen. His opponent is mjturner. He is the dark side Court of the Vile Gangster player at the top of your screen. Let me move my webcam a little bit so it's not blocking anything there. All right, there we go. And these two players were knocked out in the first round, maybe first and second. I don't know how they did the consolation this year. Normally it's just the first round people, I believe, but with it being online, it might have been anyone in the first two rounds. Anyone who was knocked out Saturday was allowed to participate. I'm not sure, but they were unfortunately knocked out early in the main event, and so a separate bracket was put together for the consolation event. And these two have both run the table so far, making it all the way to the finals. This is an event normally where you submit your decks ahead of time and they're locked for a certain amount of time. However, I believe in this MPC consolation, their decks were not locked, and so they were able to change between change decks between matches. So they specifically chose these decks for each other. I believe mjturner was guessing Apollyon would play Old Allies. So he chose Court, which is a good matchup against Old Allies, good for the Court player generally. However, Apollyon played There's Good in Him, a deck that starts Luke on table. It's very bad for Court because There's Good in Him lets Vader or any Imperial capture Luke, but typically Court plays almost no Imperials. It will play Mara or Erica, so that's one Imperial, but then you start eating two damage to the back of the objective since you don't have Vader to escort. And it might play Mithron. Some courts do. It's not super common, so it might have a second Imperial, but the only way that would be very advantageous for Dark is if they also get out Imperial Decree to limit that force loss from the objective to 1, then they can capture Luke and just lose 1 a turn. But otherwise, if they capture Luke, they're going to be losing 2. It's very rough. This light side deck generally just chews up alien decks. Also, Dark doesn't have an Imperial to cap Luke's activation turn 1, so Light's already going to get 8 force their first turn. And if this is anything like the There Is Good in Him that I played in the MPC in the rounds of 32, 16, and 8, it just destroys aliens. I even had, mine was teched for tons of battling stuff because I anticipate a lot of maps. So I had 2 Clash of Sabers, 2 Sorry About the Mess combos, and 2 Navarons, all of which just wreck Court. So even if Apollyon isn't that slanted heavy towards battling stuff, it's pretty bad if he does even have a Navarin, if he has Clash, things like that, which he will. Mike, his first turn, he goes ahead and he uses the Audience Chamber pull to pull an alien once per game, and he pulls Jabba the Hutt, and Jabba the Hutt pulls Scum and Villainy, and then he goes ahead and plays Greedo. A lot of times you want to play Greedo as a react. That's kind of dangerous if they have Old School Sense, which cancels reacts, and mjturner did play his There Is No Tri-Shield in case of Sense. I used Sense Combo, which does not cancel reacts in my version, but I don't know what Apollyon's running. So he can be dangerous. Odin Combo also cancels reacts, but nice thing about not preemptively using him is he can go to any location when he's reacting, then he's not just stuck there. But having him out is nice because he does make weapons cost extra, and that helps choke the light side player if they're attacking. They might not be able to afford to do all the things they want, especially if you as a dark side player are battling and they have to pay 1 for interrupts because of the first strike part of this combo card. light side's player's turn. It looks like there was no null hutta in there for Mike, so he wasn't able to get out his system, and so that that hurt his activation a little bit. But on the flip side, light side got all of his activation. He was able to get both the Boss Nass Chambers and the JCC, which is just huge. Light did get a 12 card hand by starting Don't Tread With Me V, and so 12 card hand helps you find those, but still that's very fortunate for Apollo. He's going to just have so much force right now. He's out activating him 13-7, and he's not going to give Darkside any icons. He's not going to deploy his battle planes. He's got all his activation out. Once Null Hutta comes out, it'll be 14-9 in favor of light side, and Dark just is not going to come back from that activation advantage. I don't really like this play. There's not a huge amount of upside. Yeah, Dark's going to reinforce a little more, but I'd rather just draw and come down with a lot stronger force. Coming down with one Obi, you're going to hit a guy, and you're going to clear, your Destiny's going to clear Jabba, but then more stuff will come out, and your hand isn't huge. He's got 9 cards, but I don't know, it's trading Obi, and I don't like swinging for Jabba here. If you draw low, there's a 4. I guess he'll hit now unless he draws battle planes, but if he drew like a 1-2, like maybe he has a Jedi 11 hand, so he wasn't worried about missing. But if you drew like a character and a Sari and you missed, then you only clear Greedo here, who's 4'6". I would have just gone for the 4'6" Greedo, hit him, and I don't know, maybe he's got a Sorry About the Mess. That's probably what it is. He wants to hit Jabba, Sorry About the Mess him, so it's just Greedo. Then you clear Greedo with Destiny and only Obi's sitting there. So it's hard as a commentator to know what the right play is when you don't know what's in their hand. But I think that would be a reason to swing for Jabba. That would be a reason to battle. But no, we don't see a Sorry About the Mess. So I'm not entirely sure what. I don't know. There's not a force for Clash, of course, because he paid one for Greedo to swing. So Light just trades. He's power 11 to Dark's 9 in Destiny. As long as Dark doesn't draw 1, they won't have to stack a card on Conflict. So he draws a 3, and they trade. He traded Obi for those 2. Maybe he's got a Resilience here, and he'll just come back, and he's happy just swapping out a little bit right now. One card I neglected to mention, Wipe, is going to give Dark an extra force on the light side's turn if they're at a battleground. He does have the Resilience. We'll see if Mike has the counter Cold Feet. He does not. Hey, Taco Bell. Happy to stream. Roby asks, so why do make virtual objective and then hack them so they can't be played again? Example, the choose one. So what I think you're asking is why make like Hitco super powerful and then errata them so that they're not that good anymore. And I think designing cards is tough. It's tough to find a good balance, and sometimes the error on the side of too weak, and then they release new cards and the meta just doesn't change at all, and it's really stagnant. And then we have the same meta for over a year, and it's kind of boring. And then other times they release cards that are a little too powerful, and then the meta very abruptly shifts, and suddenly those new powerful decks are quite dominant, and that's not that fun, for another segment of people. And so it's tough to find a balance. I think when you underpower them, you can release helper cards later, but it does take away some of the fun when a new set is underwhelming. And when they're too powerful, it can be just frustrating to play against. So they errata them, and they say, all right, well, we missed the mark on this. We're going to tweak it down a little bit, and then add some helper cards. It's my understanding, Hitco, they did errata a lot. It's not very good right now, but it's my understanding in the next set, V14, I think we're on, or 15, whatever number, in the next set, I think they're going to release some rebels or other characters that will fit pretty well in the deck and make it a little more playable again. So that's basically it. It's not like they're like purposely like, let's release something really strong and then just nuke it so they can't play it. Ha ha ha. It's tough to get that delicate balance of strong and playable yet not overpowered, and so they tweak back and forth and try and make decks viable but not frustrating to play against because they're too overpowered. So Dark activates. They pay 4 for Proxima. Scum is not kicked in at that point. The -1 because there's no ability on table. So Dark only activating 7 that turn. They do drop Null Hutta, that's going to put them up to 9, but Light's getting 14 to Dark's 9. Wipe will give him 10 essentially. However, if you are so Proxima comes down, she only adds a Destiny with 2 other aliens. There's only 1 alien there. So right now, I think Obi's just going to come down and clear this again. We're going to see Mike did not have the force to draw any. And so we know he can't afford, if he has another Greedo in hand, he could, but he can't afford to Jabba's Haven with aim high there. And retrieve Greedo and then play Greedo with only his 1 force. So Proxima's not going to add a Destiny. So Aura can hit someone, but yeah, this is, I mean, it's just an awful match. It's literally probably the worst matchup you can have as the court player. It's near enough an auto loss. Not always. I actually was playing a version of There Is Good in Him in the OCS Online Championship Series in February, and I lost a narrow one to Joker King, who was playing court. I think he won by low single digits. It was like 4 or something. He had a Sarlacc eat my Luke, I believe, and it was pretty cool. So court can win, but I would take Tig probably 9 times out of 10 there. So it's real rough. There we see Obi swinging. He draws a Ray. But then he uses Jedi Love to take it into hand. So he did have the Jedi Love, like I speculated, turn 1. One reason why he swung at Jabba. I still would have swung at Greedo. He's 6 forfeit instead of 5, but you're going to clear either one. But as long as you don't draw the 0. Okay, and he has a sorry about the mess. So maybe he just drew into that. Proxima's still going to get a Destiny on her own, but now Aura can't swing at least. Apollo asks if he has the imbalance combo. He doesn't. Mike's thinking about grabbing. I mean, I think if he had the imbalance combo, he would have used it right away and not bothered grabbing. We did see a neighbor in top decked to... Oh, he does have the imbalance combo. Why was Nabrin lost? He didn't have to peel after losing Obi. For the sorry combo. Sorry made him lose 1 force. He lost from used pile. He lost to Neighbor. I don't know why you'd lose Neighbor in there. It's so good in this matchup. I don't know why you wouldn't top deck off reserve. Unless he's playing solo to play an interrupt from lost pile. But even then, you're going to want to use Sorry or Clash or whatever. I don't know. That seems an odd choice. So we'll see if there's a blaster deflection here. There's not. So he swings at Yoda. If he can hit Yoda and then clear Obi, at least they'll mutually clear again. But... and he does hit Yoda. So that's nice for him. But they're going to clear again, and it's just that activation advantage is just going to kill him. He can't keep up. Light's going to be able to just activate a ton and just draw a ton, and Dark, even when they draw, they can't come down with nearly as much. If they can get a good stack going and battle and retrieve with Scum and do that a few times, but Light's just going to keep Dark back on their heels too much nonstop all game. So Dark has to stack a card to conflict here for losing the battle. And they'll lose both characters, and Light will also lose both characters. Yoda is forfeit 0 from Arsing. So Dark only has 5 cards here. Light has 6, but even if we see them take a turn to reload, Dark activates 9, draws some. Light activates. Well, Light's going to get to reload right here. They still have 5 cards, so Light can draw up to 11 total. He moves Luke out. That's fine. I might have just drawn the extra card here. Oh, it does put simple tricks into play, so Dark's gonna be at 2 battlegrounds to retrieve with Scum or Jabba's Haven. It does, so it does stop Jabba's Haven. Okay. What the? And he just recirculates. He saves 4 with a 6-card hand. I don't understand that. Maybe even if you want to save 3, well, even if you want to save for Clash, you're not going to do it in battle because it costs 3. So if he comes down with like Cad Bane and another Bounty Hunter, you just, Clash before the battle. So even if you're saving 2, maybe you save 1 for Sorry. Like, you're not, with Mike Turner's 5-card hand, he can't have that many threats. You don't need to save 4 to protect your Luke with your battling interrupts. Like, maybe you save 1 for a Blaster Deflection. Of course, if he had the Blaster Deflection, he would have used it with Yoda that turn. But just pretending, if he had the Blaster Deflection, maybe you save 1 for that, so Forlum and some schmo just can't clear Luke. But, like, saving 4 here makes no sense. Reload your hand. Draw at least 3 of those, or 2 if you really want to save for a Clash. But drawing 0, I don't understand at all. We know he has an EPP Ray in hand, so we know he's going to be coming, and he might have another character too. Maybe he's got, okay, there's another Imperial. So if Light can Nabrin over, Dark's going to start eating 2 to the objective. We know there's an EPP Ray in hand, and that's why I don't like this move by Mike Turner, because Ray's just going to come down and clear this. But so let's say there's another character too, Ray and I don't know, Chewie or whatever, and he wanted to save. He's still activating 14. He could have deployed Ray and any other character in his deck and still had extra force, so there's no need not to draw 3 there. Dark plays Mitt, Bosk, and Django. Django will give an extra Destiny against that Ray, and who knows, maybe he has hidden weapons in hand. That could be big. But Dark's down to 3 cards. If Light can come down and clear all this, Dark's going to be so far behind. I might have just drawn, let him come down with Ray, cancel Scum, and hope you draw into your second. Check your reserve with Null Hutta. Try and draw into your second Scum, and then come down with a bunch of dudes on Ray. Something like that, once you have a bigger hand. So, I don't know. Light's got 18 here. Let's see if he uses all 18, if I'm wrong about him drawing. My guess is he's going to use some of that force, and then at the end of his turn, he's going to draw into those same cards he would have drawn last turn. Only, had he drawn them then, he'd have them now for more options. And drawing them a turn later doesn't do you anything. So we see Ray and Lando come down. So Dark will get 2 Destinies. Lando is not a smuggler, so he will not, Bosk will not cap Light to 1 Destiny, unfortunately for the dark side player. 3PO comes down and he uses his text. That's okay. Again, with 3 cards in hand, using 3PO is not very effective versus just drawing your cards. I'd rather have multiple extra cards in hand than pay the 2 for 3PO and use his text. I'd rather draw the 2 extra cards because you can start cycling 1 turn later but have more options. 3PO just replaces 1 for 1, plus you paid 2 for him. I'd rather draw those. Little things, but in a pretty auto-win matchup like this, it probably doesn't matter a whole lot. Again, an odd swing. Swinging at Mitt, who's forfeit 6, instead of Bosk, who's forfeit 7. He draws a 0. If he drew a 2 there, okay, he draws 0-4, so he still does hit. But had he drawn 0-3, or any combination of 3, you hit Bosk but not Mitt. Bosk is lower defense value and higher forfeit. So, I don't see a reason to hit Thrawn unless you have the Nabrin in hand. Maybe you just 3PO'd into Nabrin. If you hit Nabrin, then you're like, let me kill your Imperial so I can send Luke over there and Luke can actually battle instead of getting captured. That's about the only reason maybe to hit Thrawn there. Apollo said, I was worried about that battle plane with no second reset. Yeah, so he drew it, but it didn't matter because he drew it for Weapon Destiny and still hit. It's not like he drew. If he had drawn it for Battle Destiny there, it would have been much more annoying. But if he can draw at least an 8 or a 9, Django forfeits for 8, he can clear both. Also, he clashes Django. Yeah, I think Apollo's just going too all in with he's gonna be down to 2 cards in hand. Like that's where I definitely wouldn't have done 3PO. I would have drawn a few more. It's gonna Dark will probably not come back, but it's gonna give Dark a chance to come back because Light's just gonna run out of stuff. If they don't at some point get a better hand size. So Dark draws 4 and 1. And it's annoying to have Django clashed because if he had lost him, he could have uploaded that Fet. And now not being able to lose him, Fet stuck there. Dark's going to have to stack another one to conflict. Clear both dark side guys. Light will probably lose Lando and keep Rey. But now with Django clashed, he can sit there and protect Scum and block this drain for a turn and give Dark a chance to just draw a bunch more. So if you are dark side here, you're kind of okay with that clash. I mean, you're definitely okay with that. I don't know that I would have worried about Dark drawing high enough to clear both. But with Apollo's super low hand size, and I think saving clash is better for when you're going to get a beat down. But right now, Dark's not unhappy with that situation. Django can't battle this turn. They can just take a turn to draw up. Light will probably reinforce this Rey, but Light only has 2 cards in hand. Once again, Apollo didn't draw, and 3PO's a very limited use when you only have 2 cards in hand. So it's going to give Dark a turn here to just say, all right, you got Rey. You probably don't have anything to back her up. Maybe you have 1 character, but I'm just going to draw this turn. So we'll see. Maybe they'll play a ship with their objective just to get on a second battleground for simple tricks. You risk a Han Chewie Falcon coming down and clearing it. And you only have 10 force, and a ship probably costs 3 with Scum, like Elor's, and then you drop a pilot on it for 1. Using half your life force just to establish a drain of 1 in a second battleground, probably not worth it. You probably just draw. But yeah, Apollo's still at 41 in life force to 35. Mike has 2 more in hand, so Light is up by 4, but a very dominant board position right now, and of course a stronger deck. So Dark does do Dengar punishing 1 for 4. Oh no, and Ellis and Hinthra. I don't like this at all. He just used up his whole force pile instead of drawing. He needs more aliens to pile at the audience chamber to just throw there. And yeah, this is going to be able to get him 1 back next turn with Jabba's Haven. And yeah, next turn you can deploy stuff because Django still clashed on Light Side's player turn. But with what cards? You have so few cards in hand. He is drawing, and maybe he can draw into some more characters. But I would have drawn like most of my force pile there. Yeah, so he draws up to 6, and he's going to wipe. And if Han Chewie Falcon does come out, it'll trade. Unless it draws a 6, it'll trade like Dengar punishing 1 for Han Chewie Falcon, and Darkside's fine with that. So that's a good combo of ships to deal with that. No immunity on the Falcon if it comes down. So Ahsoka comes down, and Light didn't pay to drain because there's so few cards in hand. If they'd drawn earlier, I still probably would have paid to drain for 2 there and just start burying Darkseid. But he doesn't. He just draws after dropping Ahsoka. Ahsoka's going to be annoying to deal with because of her destiny. Subtract 1 from each battle destiny, and Dark's destinies in court are already kind of sketch. They're already like a 3 average, so that'll make a 2 average. So even if you draw in 2 destiny, it's like you draw a 2/2. It's like whatever. And she's immune to permanent weapons, so someone like Forlom can't just cancel her text. You need to like hidden weapons, or just overwhelm her with power. If you hidden weapons Rey, and you've got multiple aliens there. We'll see. Light saves 3. They draw up to 9 cards. 9 is a more decent sized hand. Django is back. The clash has expired, but you got to be worried about light saving 3 force. If they have another clash, you're unhappy with that. Dark drains for 1. And we see Speak lost from use pile. He had put that there with 3PO, of course, and Dark checks their reserve deck to see what is in there. Is it just me? I like the regular 3PO much better than the AI one with parts. I don't know. There's certainly some AIs that are better, like the Coruscant Maul, Young Apprentice, and even the Tap Maul. But there's a few where I think the AI is worse. Padme could go either way. They're both great. But 3PO, I like the non-AI one. So Mike's deciding what to do, and again, it's this activation disparity is bad. Light's 14 to Dark's 9, 10 with wipe. They're still just able to deploy more stuff, draw more cards, get more what they need. Scum helps a little bit, but to a limited extent. With Dark only having 6 in hand, I think they're probably just going to have to run. Light was down to 2 cards in hand. I think they just should not have played Ellison Hinthra from hand. That cost 3 extra force. If he had just played Dengar for 4 and said, all right, if one of your 2 cards is Han Chewie Falcon, fine, come at me with your Han Chewie Falcon. But probably it's not one of those 2 cards. I'm just dropping Dengar, and I'm drawing 3 more cards. Whoa. Turner's just drawing, so he's clearly got a Gick in hand. His plan is just like, keep Django there to stop the drain, and then use him to upload Fett, and then Gick the damage. Of course, if you're light, you want to save 4 force for after the battle to be able to then cancel Scum. So, light activates 17. I think you should go ahead and drain for 2 here. And it's Dark's next turn that's going to be more interesting because they will have 14 force and 12 in hand. But the problem is, by the time that happens, Light's probably reinforced with at least 1, if not 2 characters here at the audience chamber. I think Dark's best plan here is you give up the audience chamber, you give up Scum, you let Light side battle, clear your Django, get the battle damage, you also clear someone, and then you go to the Great Pit of Carcoon. You put the Doo-Doo, makes it a drain 2. You put just whatever characters you can, and you pile there. And then you go wide to Bosnas Chambers and JCC. You satisfy battle order by having Nal Hutta and having Great Pit of Carcoon. You satisfy simple tricks. And then you put like Probot at one site. You put Afra at another one. And you just start out draining. You say, all right, you pay to drain 2 and 2. And I drain for free 1, 1, 2, 3. And you try and grind down diff. It's still an uphill battle, and Light's going to then start attacking you at the Great Pit of Carcoon with their EPP Kwai and with their EPP Obi and all that. Oh, Dark had a stunning leader. Okay. Let's see if Light has sense. So Light played Draw Their Fire, so they get to retrieve, and Dark lost 1. Light does have sense, so Light plays sense on the stunning leader. And it is successful. It does not draw a 6. So now Dark hopefully has the kick. Light has to lose 2 to There Is No Try. He top decks an Anakin and a Jedi Luke. So the stunning is canceled. The battle will continue. We'll see Rey swing at Django here. We'll see Rey swing at Django. Oh, we'll see a Greedo react. Okay. So that indicates to me he doesn't have the Gick. And he does not want to take a bunch of overflow, which is fine. Dark's going to get 2 destinies now but again, they're -1 with Ahsoka, and so they won't clear both. You'd have to draw a 10 total. They're both forfeit 7, so you'd have to draw 5/5, which Ahsoka would make 4/4, which would be 8, and clear both. You're not going to draw 5/5. It's theoretically possible, but very unlikely. I'm sure there are 5s like Twi'lek Advisor V, but drawing them back to back is unlikely. So Light hits with Rey and pays 1 for secret plans to retrieve the Sense recoil that they had played on the Stunning Leader. Yeah, we see Barrier Canceler. There's just like so much anti-scum stuff built into this Light. And then Light draws a 6 for Destiny. So there's 16. And Dark, unless they draw 5/5, will kill just one character. Nope, they draw a 1. At least they will clear something here. And a 0. Yeah, so by drawing the 2/1, Ahsoka made it just a 1 total. But with Rey having no immunity, one of them will die at least. Dark stacks another card to conflict and will get cleared. Jango does forfeit for 8, and the power difference is 8. So Dark won't take any overflow. Light will likely pay 4 to cancel the Scum and Villainy. And Light opts to lose the Rey, keeping the Ahsoka and her immunity and her power -1. So we're going to see, and keeping the Ahsoka is nice because Jango's about to upload Boba Fett, and Boba Fett adds 2 destinies with the Bounty Hunter, and her making them all -1 is quite powerful. So we did see Boba Fett Bounty Hunter uploaded, and now Light pays 4, like we mentioned, cancels Scum and Villainy. And then they're just going to draw some. Light's at 7 in hand, so I'll draw another 3 to 5 cards, I imagine. Draws 3, probably will save 3 like last turn. Light side needs some kind of scum retrieval type effect. Yeah, it doesn't have, a lot of people, that's been mentioned over the years, over the last, 20, 23 years or so. The main argument against it is it's kind of nice when the sides don't just have exact mirrors of each other. That Dark has scum as a deck, but Light doesn't also just have the exact same thing. It's a little boring when everything is just exactly mirrored, and so each side having some of their own unique stuff is interesting. Light does have some other stuff, like the General Leia, the Resistance character. When you battle with the Resistance character, retrieves 1, 2 if against a First Order guy. So she's kind of almost a mini scum on her own, and works in pretty much any Light deck. Anyone that can play characters like that. Hitco obviously can't, but or WAP can't and stuff. But otherwise, you drop her, and she retrieves. Well, that was a mistake. Mike Turner, what are you doing? He drops Cad Bane, and then he uses No Escape to take Scum, which he's going to play again. But he could have first done No Escape Scum. Light does not have 4 force. Oh, Light only had 3 left. So he could have done No Escape, taken Scum into hand, played the Scum, and then played Cad for -1, because he does have ability on table, and Cad would have cost 1 less force. But yeah, so Leia can initiate battle, and she can retrieve, and then if you initiate with other Resistance guys. So she's kind of like a little mini Scum effect. But Light does have some other cool alien booster stuff, like Tessic. Really popular lately has been Ancient Watering Hole Virtual, that gives you drain boosts when you have 5 unique alien species on table. So we've seen that. Bastion has played it in a Agents of the Court deck. And, oh, Dark's finally getting out some more activation. They got out a passenger deck and a docking bay. Those needed to happen much earlier. Mike says, thanks for all the icons. He's joking because Light has given him none. But now he's up to 12 to 14. That's a lot closer activation ratio. Oh, he says, thanks for all the icons because Apollo's sense recoiled. After the scum was taken back to hand with no escape, then recoil was played, and it got him to 2 locations. Apollo says, if you don't have scum, that makes up for it. Except scum would have been nice to retrieve here. I guess he won't have the force to retrieve. So Light does have some cool alien stuff like Ancient Watering Hole. And Dark's going to battle here for free and have a chance to retrieve, withdraw their fire. Probably will. Yeah, he opts to. It means he won't be able to pay for Fet's upkeep. However, he's going to be forfeiting Fet here to whatever Light draws for Destiny. So Cad Bane cancels Ahsoka's text. I do wish he had no escape first. But, you know, since in hindsight, the sense recoil then would have taken away Cad Bane, or potentially could have, and so it worked out. But you don't know at the time. So Light or Dark draws 3-1-5, which becomes a 2-0-4, so a total of 6. But of course, our immunity is canceled anyway with Cad. But Dark will outpower right now. He's up by 6, minus whatever Light draws as Destiny. A 4. So it will be Ahsoka and 2, and then Fet will die. And Apollo says, not nearly as bad as it could have been. Yeah, maybe some better destinies. He loses a Grimtosh from hand. He knows Mike Turner's never going to draw above 13. He's never going to have the force to draw that much. So Grimtosh doesn't matter unless you were doing a Grimtosh Lost hoping to hit like 2 Gix or something. But all right, so he loses Grimtosh from hand, and he loses a Sense from hand. I don't really like that because there's, I mean, we already saw Sense be pretty impactful against that. Maybe he's thinking Light or Dark doesn't have a lot of other interrupts left, which is probably true. Recoil can be pretty deadly too, though. He just doesn't want to lose more to There Is No Try. I think he's thinking diff, but I would probably keep that Sense as a safety net till much later in the game. All right. So Light activates a bunch. They just recoiled, so Light has 6 new random cards, plus got to 3PO. Is going to get to 3PO now again, meaning they'll probably end up with like EPP Quiet, EPP OB, some sort of Leia. There's still plenty of characters left in Light's decks. I'm sure they play 2 EPP Rays, so there might be another one of those coming. Here he uses Jedi Love as a Lost Interrupt, pays 3 plus 1 for Secret Plans 4, and grabs back, I imagine, EPP Ray, so that she can hit and draw Destiny, and her hitting with her lightsaber will also retrieve 1. I think that would be my choice, and that is indeed Apollo's choice also. So EPP Ray will come down, she'll retrieve, withdraw their fire, she'll retrieve with her lightsaber, and clear out the audience chamber again. Oh, and Din's going to come down. So Dark, unless they have a Gick from that recoil, is going to be eating overflow here, unless Light misses a swing or something. And Light won't have enough to retrieve from Draw Their Fire, Ray, and Din. So, but he uses that anyway. He can opt when he wants to retrieve against Secret Plans, if at all. So he's going to add a Destiny because he's with an alien. And let's see if there's a Gick for Dark, because now it's 9 and 2 Destiny versus 4 and a Destiny. And of course, Light's forfeit 7. They'll probably still peel even if Light misses, because then it's 11 and Destiny to 9 and 2 Destiny. Oh, Light plays Projective Telepathy. Or Dark does, and it cancels battle because Light just has one. And if Apollo had saved that sense recoil, he would have sensed it right here, and he would have done good overflow on Cad Bane. So yeah, opting to lose that sense from hand on the Ahsoka overflow was a bad move. Apollo says, I was hoping you wouldn't draw that. Well, if you were hoping you wouldn't draw that, save your Canceller in your hand. Hey, Gogolin, thanks for the 25 bits. Glad to have you here. Light side is at 28 in life force and 4 in hand, so total of 32 after that drain. And dark side is at 22 in life force, 5 in hand, so 27 versus 32. So dark's down by 5, but we are going to hit that snowball point soon where dark just can't really do much more damage, where light's draining for 4 and dark's draining for 1. And then maybe dark goes over here, but then light throws more characters at it and keeps getting draw their fire damage and basically keeps their life force steady and probably wins by low to mid 20s. Because dark's just going to run out of steam here. If dark could get another scum maybe and more characters. The problem is they just have just a 5 in hand. I think dark's going to have to run away here from that Ray Din, and we're going to see light just drain 2 and 2 and then draw a bunch and just have so much to attack dark with again the next turn. But let's see, maybe in those 5 cards they've got a Forlom, which you'd cancel Ray, and then Din adding the Destiny. You're hoping one of your bounty hunters, just one bounty hunter, can cover both Destinies. Maybe you can get a Forlom, and I don't think he's used Jabba's Haven yet, so maybe you grab Jabba and you double Cad's power and you drop, and Forlom adds a Destiny with Jabba, so maybe you can clear both. I don't know. Probably not. Can you get an 8 total from 2 Destiny? Probably unlikely. Shizor. So if he had some way to exclude one of them, the other one would not get a Destiny, but I don't think there is that way. Stunning Leader excludes both of them, and of course all the dark ones. Oh, if he has Dr. E to go with that Din. Oh, but Dr. E would cost all the rest of his force with no scum out. Oh, but then he could battle free, shoot with P59. You shoot Ray, they're both defense value 5. He does have the Dr. E. Oh, and it's that one too. So it was cheaper. Oh, and the barrier. Light side has barrier for Dr. E. That's brutal. Because man, that would have been clutch if dark has a 5. I mean, that's still unlikely because they're both defense value 5. But if they do have a 5, you shoot Ray, operate. They lose 2 for P59. Din doesn't get a Destiny, and then he covers 10 versus Darkside's 14 and a Destiny. Light side is losing 4 plus Destiny overflow. If dark drew the 5 to hit and operate. However, light had the barrier for Dr. E and had the discipline to save it. Didn't barrier Shizor or P59. Just all right. So dark battles anyway. Wants to clear some stuff off. Ray's gonna hit. I think you go for P59 because you don't want him staying alive for Dr. E next turn. So you probably hit the P59 and then clear one. Well, maybe Shizor. If that depends. Light only has 3 cards in hand. Oh, he did have the 5. He does hit. He would have operated and made Light peel 4 plus a Destiny. That would have been huge. That barrier in the 4-card light side hand is huge. Knowledge is knowing tomato is a fruit. Wisdom is knowing not to put it in a fruit salad. Fruit salads are awful, by the way. They just all mix in and like bleed together. Oh, light just draws a 1. Um, they just all bleed their tastes together, and then it just all tastes like pineapple, or it all tastes like orange or grapefruit or whatever the most dominant flavor is. And then you're eating a bunch of fruit that is tainted by that. I'd rather just have the fruit separate on like a fruit tray, and then you could just pick individual fruits and eat those, and they taste delicious. Like, why mix them together? Um, that's the true wisdom, Bananas. Uh, I can't get a hold of this current auto chess meta, by the way. I'm doing awful this season. I don't know what it is. Every build I try I lose with. So light side swings and hits Shizor. They did not opt for P59 the way I thought might be good. And then they draw 2 Destiny, which total a 9, which will be enough to clear everything. So that's rough. He forfeits 7. He forfeits 4. So everything is cleared except 1 Lone Doctory. Hopefully, and only Ray is cleared here. Hopefully, if you're dark, you have Gick. And he will be able to afford it even with Draw Their Fire, because they'll activate 1 with Wipe and pay the 1 for Gick, but then he'll be left with just 1 card in hand. So, I don't know. That barrier was just clutch. Instead of Dark being left with all 4 characters and Light being left with none and peeling 4 plus... What was the next Destiny after the shot? A 3. So Light peeling 7 and losing everything, and Dark losing nothing. Instead, Dark lost 3 guys. Light only lost 1, didn't peel any, and now is going to be able to battle back. And Dark better have the Gick here. Soggy bananas gross. Soggy anything is. Can you think of a food that's better soggy? I guess there's certain like cakes and stuff where you might have some fruit juice like soak into it and it gets kind of soggy and tastes better, but in general, like anything soggy is not good. I wonder if that's like an evolutionary thing, if like certain soggy things are just bad for you and make you sick, so like we have an innate dislike of sogginess. I don't know. I don't think so. Pretty much, you add the word soggy to anything, and you're just like, meh. All right. Let's see. So Apollo drained, Velkin and Imbalance combo were top decked. Apollo deploys Jar Jar and says the worst. Apparently, he did not have much in that 3-card hand, but it was enough. Light's gonna cover 4 versus, or Dark's covering 4 versus 7 and 2 Destinies. So he's peeling 3 plus 2 Destinies. Now he's peeling 7 and 5, 12, or the Gick. And pancake/waffles are okay soggy. Oh, that's a pretty good point. Like if you get the syrup, I think they're still better before they hit the soggy point. Like sometimes they get soggy and they get a little gross. But you're right that like when they hit the soggy point, if it's still early in the soggy point, they're still good. Yeah. Good counterexample, Beluga. I'll grant you that. So Dark did have the Gick in their hand. But like I mentioned, we are at that point of inevitability where Light just starts to snowball. They are now drawing. Light has still mid-20s, 25 in their reserve, 5 in hand, versus Dark's 18 in reserve, 2 in hand. So right now it's 30-20. Light's up by 10 life force, and anything Dark comes out with, Light's just going to jump on and battle and do Draw Their Fire damage. Light saves 3 again. It indicates to me they have a clash or something like that, trying to protect Luke. Only drawn up to 5. Again, with Dark having a 2-card hand and having sort of shot their whole load last turn with all those characters, I think I would draw a few more and just save 1. Mike checks his reserve, and he has 111335. Apollo kindly tells us in the chat, says for the stream. So a lot of bad destiny there. 111335. Dark's gonna go with Zam. You're just letting Light attack it. Light clearly stopped drawing because they have characters and they're cycling with 3PO. They're just gonna attack you again with Draw Their Fire. I would wait until you can come down with multiple characters. Light plays See Around Kid, so they're gonna get to pick one of their 3 cards. Light's just gonna drain for 4, attack that, retrieve with Draw Their Fire, and just rinse and repeat. Is there anything else good soggy? Sometimes I guess like cookies, if you're dunking them in milk, you get your Oreo cookie or your chocolate chip cookie a little bit soggy with milk. But anyway, fruit salad. No. Fruit salad's a pass. All right. While we are waiting here for this next game, let's in honor of Bernaz being on the stream, let's do some dumb jokes. Mountains, they're not just funny, they're hill areas. Hilarious. Get it? They're hill areas. Not just funny, but hilarious. Anyway, yeah, I would tell a joke about pizza, but it's just too cheesy. All right, so Dark, just after playing Zam, drew a bunch of cards, and Light side pays to drain. Dark plays Projective Telepathy, which Light grabs, and they just cancel that drain. What? The math on this is just awful. Light opts not to pay 2 to continue this drain, and then pays 3 to do this drain. Like, why not just pay the 2 for Projective and get in your drain of 2, and then skip this drain and save 1 force? Instead, Dark's like, or Light's like, nah, all right, I'm not going to pay 2, but let me pay 3 here and get the same effect. What? But as expected, we see another character come down, Ray. She gets her Draw Their Fire battle. She's going to clear off Zam. Light's not getting any, or Dark's not getting any damage in unless they pay 3 to drain 1. But Light's just retrieving that with Draw Their Fire. Like, they're getting nowhere here. So, Goglin says, that's someone who planned his turn out and didn't rethink it. Yeah. I think you're right. I think he decided, I'm going to drain here, and he's like, when Projective happened, he's like, oh, I don't have enough force to do Projective, so I'll let it cancel the drain, and then I'll drain here, and he really should have just, yeah. So Dark reacts with a Greedo, and Light swings and draws a 1, and let's say draw the 0 here. No, we saw the 0 lost, so Light's gonna clear everything. And now Light does not get a Battle Destiny because Zam has to be alone. She draws 1 if unable to otherwise while alone, but now she's not alone. And Greedo has 1 ability and Zam has 2, so that's only 3 abilities. So now Ray won't even be cleared. Ray's just going to clear both. As long as she draws a 3 or higher, Dark will stack another card on Conflict. It does let Light come back and battle Ray for damage, but I mean, that does not seem worth it. So yep, so Light draws 4, so they do outpower them by 2. And so Dark had to stack a card on Conflict and has to lose both characters, and Light loses nothing. Yeah. All right. Here's a question for you. Why does a flamingo stand with 1 leg off the ground? Apollo says, Greedo was not helpful for you there. Why do they stand with one leg off the ground? Because if it stood with both off the ground, it would fall down. That's a good point. But what about the bicycle? Why didn't the bicycle stand up on its own? Because it was too tired. Too tired. That's a good one. So dark activates everything. Light has 28 in reserve. Even with all with a fair amount of stuff going wrong and mistakes and stuff, and dark being able to get 15 in light side's loss pile, they're still gonna win by mid, maybe upper 20s. So it's just a rough match. There's really Turner's best shot was that turn where Doctor got buried. If there was no barrier there and he clears the audience chamber there, I think he probably could have got Apollo down to 15, or somewhere 10 to 15. I don't know. He probably could have started getting more damage through. They fight over more. Maybe he gets his own. I don't know. It still would have been a huge uphill battle, but at least that turn he would have made him peel 4 more, and he would have had 4 guys to 0 instead of Dr. E eating a beatdown with a Gick. But besides that, it's so uphill. All right, so Mike just drew, and he is going. Apollo's going to win. Apollo says, "This is a really bad matchup for you, and my opening 12 was insane." Yeah, he got both his activation. He had lots of good characters. He had Sorry and Clash and a whole bunch of stuff. Apollo says, "You played it well, but the matchup was way more important than decisions ended up being." Yeah. So Apollo wins by 28. I'll jot down loss piles in case it matters next game, but it's gonna be hard for Mike to win by 28. Whatever. He'd also need a really good matchup. So Apollo plus 28, 15 lost to Mike's 26 lost. So they're gonna take about 10 minutes and stretch before game 2. So should I go offline for 10 minutes, come back? Should I entertain you guys with some more bad jokes? Let's go ahead and just pop into a different game. Why not? We'll if you're watching the replay on this, go ahead and skip forward about 10 minutes, or hold your little mouse over the the where you can scrub to find a spot, and where it shows the little like preview of where you're at, and you'll see when the next game is like starting, and you can jump there if you don't want to see just random games. But let's go ahead and take a look at what else is going on. Here we have a Watch Your Step by LR Craft 3 versus Paul Meyer's Distil Pseudo Entanglements. That's interesting. Dopeld is in the deck. Wow, that is a lot of characters over on Tatooine. So Paul just went like, I'm just going super thin over to Bespin, and I'm deploying everything over to Tatooine. Or maybe he probably Docking Bay transited a lot of this stuff, actually. So Dark, with that occupation, is doing drains a 1/1/1/1, 1, and 3 occupation. So 8 damage, and Light is doing 2 damage because of resistance. Looks like Kessel Run is already completed. Of course, Light's usual damage mitigation, like Control, doesn't help against the 1/1/1/1 drains, and it could be worse occupation once, but Grabber's still open. It's a hit, isn't going to stop any drains. Maybe a 1 at Lars Farm, but again, who cares? You're stopping a 1. So right now, Trample. Lando gets trampled. Light side, I don't see really has much they can do here. It's pretty ugly. Dark ends their turn, but Light's going to drain 2, and then I don't know. I guess its best hope is if they only have 1 card in hand too. I was going to say if you could get like Luke Saber and do like a Sorry, if they had Saber and either Sorry or Clash in hand and the other one in Lost Pile, and they could get rid of 2 guys and just beat up on the other one, but with 1 card in hand. Unless that one is a Saber and they have one of those interrupts and Lost, even then they're not going to clear everything. So What light side do I like against this deal deck? That's a good question. I actually think Watch Your Step can be okay if you can put pressure on the executor. Problem is cracking that 12, you need to be able to spin for a 6 and like draw another 6, or you need like wild card adding +3 to your total, or you need something like a few maneuvers, so you're spinning for an 8 and then drawing a 4 or maybe even a 3 and add 1 with heading with your objective. But the problem is you probably got to crack it multiple times. So it's a lot harder than fighting against a Devastator where you're forcing them to lose cards every time. But you can still outpower the Executor. They'll get it up to power, 18 to 20 with all their pilots. But if you've got multiple ships and you get Dash and Outrider, and it's power 11 with moving, and you subtract 11 if they don't find Colonel Wolf, then you can just start outpowering the Executor pretty badly, and they have to forfeit a lot of dudes. So that's a pretty good out if you are Watch Your Step, is like try and get Dash in another ship and just subtract the Executor's power and just try and make them start losing dudes to that. Throne Room can be hit or miss. If you don't get your activation and then Bespin's choking you, you're in a lot of trouble. And Dark can just play super conservatively, put Chirano on there and go to pile, like split to 2 sites to deploy occupation, but then consolidate to 1, and then just be piled and drain 2, 1, and 1 occupation. But if Light can, it's hard because Dark can run around with this upper walkway text and just try and avoid you and out damage, but Dark has to put a lot more on table. So if you can battle and do stuff, unfortunately Throne Room right now has to put out the Lars farm, and that is another liability. What other light sides are good right now? Tig is an interesting one, because if you drop Hanshui Falcon and a Destiny Adder, and if they don't draw 5 to crack, and you've got a character who adds a Destiny on there, or maybe even 2, if you got EPP Leia and Lando Scoundrel or something, you can grab and sense command, and you can start, you have spin, and you can start getting through the Executor and clearing it off. And meanwhile, you give them Luke, and if they can't find Decree, then they start losing 2 to a ping every turn. So there's good in him. Can be interesting. EBO surprisingly should be pretty decent against it by being able to pile a bunch at Bespin, but of course they're going to go just guy like this, so you need some kind of ground threat too, like speeders. Legend limiting the immunity would be nice, but probably too slow. Yeah, Legend, that one Jedi thing just is so hard to have a good character base right now, I think. Legend capping the immunity, and then you got to start the Jakku system if you want Brave Resistance, and so I know we're not really talking about this game much. It looks pretty over, and so I think talking maybe theory about it is a little more interesting. But it does look like Light played Wedge and is battling. They're about to eat, what do we say, 8 damage, so it's pretty immaterial. They have to start Jakku system, which means Dark can just try and survive in space for quite a while and do a bunch of damage, and then finally just abandon occupation and move over to Jakku if they have to, and once they're far enough ahead, and just say, all right, that's fine, you cancel occupation, but just my drains now are going to be enough to take you out. Because like you said, Legend is slow and probably has to give up that system and doesn't have Jedis to attack with. Dark will be just set up with all their Tempest Scouts and everything to react around. And of course they can just pile like Barak, Obrick stuff on board, so even if you are cracking their immunity of less than 5, they forfeit a guy or 2. What other light decks exist right now? I think that's everything, right? There's mains, which is like Throne Room, Tig. There's Watch Your Step. QMC probably beats it, because you just go to your interior sites with Pukamer. guess it depends on who wins space. If you're landing clawing and they have occupation, you don't have celebration, you're probably losing. But if you can beat them in space with home one, Dark does get to replace the system, which is annoying. No idea is the other possibility. Okay, no idea is the other deck, and I think the Dark beats No Idea unless No Idea really piles hard in space. The last time I tested that matchup actually was just over a year ago, before the last MPC, the first online one in the pandemic in March of 2020. In that MPC, I played this steel deck that started the Port Town Plaza and used Intensify the Forward Batteries to make a bunch of non-pilot warriors, which were a bunch of aliens, deploy -1, and Downtown Plaza makes them -1, and put Expand the Empire in Downtown Plaza. So at all three of your locations, your aliens were like deploy -2, and they were all drain +1s because of the Port Town Plaza. And so the idea was just like free executor and a bunch of aliens, and then I just got crushed by Matt Scott's Diplo because he just went menace fades, and I couldn't execute or can't go to Tatooine and do anything, and he was just like retrieving so much, and it was just brutal. But that's pretty much an all. That's the matchup, Diplo. I think Diplo has a good matchup against this deal deck. If you so let me finish the No Idea thought first before I go to that. No Idea. So I tested that before that NPC, and I found that Dark would outdamage, and that was when Stardust was doing 2 damage. Except Light could get a ton of power in space if they were like all their ships. If they were like Tanev and Bright Hope and Han Shui Falcon and all this stuff, and just piled up. You know, they get like 5 ships, and they get to power 30 to 40, and your executors power like 20, and you have to keep losing stuff, and at that point you have to run. And if Light can early enough put a lot of space power out that Dark has to really dedicate to that can be tough. But otherwise I would favor Deal in it, and of course now Stardust only pings 1, so I think Deal is favored. But Diplo, I do think beats it, because Executor has a hard time going to Tatooine, being capped at 1 destiny, even if there's a command or a Thrawn on there or whatever. So Light can just sit there. Celebration offsets the occupation, and that's if they don't have like a escape pod combo or something. So Celebration offsets it, and then Light can just start dropping, like, I drop a character, and once I grab Trample or have a perimeter scam for it, I drop a character, draw a destiny that's +4 to the total, and clear off 2 things, and retrieve 1 for winning the battle, and then rinse and repeat. So Light's just sitting over, draining on Tatooine, doing celebration damage, doing enhanced bail damage, and then battling, picking and choosing their battles. And I think Dark would have to do something like what we're looking at here with Paul going all over Tatooine. Only the problem for Dark is there's no docking bay in Diplo. So they can't just late game transit like I imagine Paul did. They have to deploy all over. They have to deploy to Tatooine, and that's a lot harder to do. I should check if that other game is up. It's not quite up yet. Okay. Paul asked, "Aren't you bored by this game?" I think he was. Oh, maybe he's not watching the stream. He's just sees me in the game, you know, whatever, the spectators, and is wondered, aren't I bored? I told him I'm streaming in between the Consolation finals, not talking and just talking about this Dark in general, not this particular game. So I think Diplo sitting at Tatooine, draining, retrieval, offsetting, occupation, because the most Dark can occupy for is 3, and Light with Shuffle can do 2 right there. Light can do 4 between Lars Farm, Dune Sea, and Shuffle is 4 versus 3. And if they're at everyone, and then they pick and choose their battles. So if I was choosing a Light to face against this dark, yeah, Diplo I think is advantaged. Thanks, Chris, for letting me know the table is up. Let's see. We see Watch Your Step versus Carbon Chamber Testing. So Apollyon won the last one by 28. So Watch Your Step is going to need to win by 28 and win on Lost Piles, or win by 29. That will be tough to do. This dark should be able to get enough damage through between Despair Enhanced Drains. You'll be dead pings and then just battling and stuff. Light's going to want to get Castle Run going so they can get Chewbacca to stop the retrieval. Retrieval from both, of course, the flip side of the objective, retrieving 1 per control phase, and retrieval from Scum and Villainy that will retrieve 2 when Apollyon battles. So Light needs to get Castle Run going, get Chewie out, stop that retrieval. But I think by the time they do, they're going to take a lot of damage. So it's going to be a tough match. I think I'd probably slightly favor light side depending on the builds, because CCT usually doesn't have a ton of space, not nearly as much as Court. But if Dark is running a decent amount of space, I'd probably favor Dark. So it's a matchup that could definitely go either way, but is probably not going to go light side's way by 28. So Apollyon's first turn, he pulls the Audience Chamber with his objective. Missing the Audience Chamber is a pretty decent setback with CCT, but it looks like he did not miss it. That's good for him. He's going to drop Boba Fett. Drops the dungeon from hand, which is now next to Cloud City because of a visual quirk. There we go. We're going to see him. He takes Seize All Year's Bounty Hunter into hand. That's going to let Fett move free. He paid 1 to pull it, so it'll save him 1 force this turn. So out comes Fett. He's going to also play his gun and then use Seize All Year's Bounty Hunter to make Fett be able to move free, which he's going to use the guns relocate him and a captive he's escorting over to the Audience Chamber, which will flip the objective. And if Fett is attacked, he can use his text. If battle is just initiated, he can swap a card in hand with a card in reserve, which he will swap for Projective Telepathy if Light has less than 2 force left, or Stunning Leader if Light has more. So Light has to get through that trick if it wants to kill Fett. And Dark even gets to draw a couple here. So unless Light has Draw Their Fire to stop that trick, they would need, with 9 force, they could theoretically, if they had the perfect hand, go like Luke Rebel Scout, Lightsaber, Draw Their Fire, hit and clear Fett, free Han, and maybe get to a path of retrieving, or it's not Han, it's gonna be Korn against Watch Your Step. Free him, and then maybe get to a path of winning by 28 by dominating the Audience Chamber early. And but I mean, like I said, they'd have to have, I don't even think they're playing those cards necessarily. It's probably playing Luke the Last Jedi, not Rebel Scout Luke, and probably not playing Draw Their Fire. And so just in the theoretical world where they had those cards and they were all in hand, but unlikely. All right, so Light uses their objective, pulls Corellia, and plays it, and plays Boss Nass Chambers from hand, plays Lars Farm from hand. So Light's getting 15 activation to Dark's 12. But of course, Dark's going to get out Scum and Villainy next turn, unless they activate it, and that will make all their aliens -1. Aliens and ships, sort of evening up that difference. And Mike Turner just draws. Gogolin said EBO is too slow. He lost to Dylan. So in that previous matchup we were talking about, EBO, maybe if it could pile up enough in space, but Dark can just go, guy, do a bunch of damage really quickly. It's hard you'd have to get a great hand, and you'd still need ground threats. Gogolin, in that EBO that you lost to Dylan, were you playing Luke and Speeder, or was it more of the Eric Hunter style with just random characters and stuff? Because I do think Lucan Speeder is a scary threat for... But the problem is you can't deploy it against a walker because they can trample before you deploy the Luke. So you have to deploy them not aggressively unless they have just a character, and that's super annoying. EBO was better, I think, against entanglements, even though entanglements had one more sight, because EBO generally had double projection, and projections do nothing on Cloud City. So Dark drains 2 for free. Light opted not to pull the battle plan shield or forgot, I'm not sure which. They drained 2 because of despair. And so Light loses out of commission from hand and awares Han from hand. And IG comes down from hand, so no need to use... a lot of times we see the audience chamber pull an alien and it pulls Darrow, who pulls a droid, pulls IG, but he did not have to use his audience chamber pull on Darrow, which is really good for Apollyon. He plays the Scum and Villainy with his objective. And he goes ahead and he transfers over the blaster onto IG. No advantage now that Fett's relocated to having it on Fett. It still targets for free, draws Destiny, and IG's more likely to stay alive than Fett because you can lose a force to cancel a weapon targeting him, and if you're going to forfeit someone, you're going to forfeit Fett and keep your IG for his force pile pulls. So you might as well have the gun on him. So if they do come down and kill Fett, you still have the weapon there to battle back with or to be doing your you'll be dead pings. So that's why we see that switched over. So Dark just draws a few, uses IG, draws a few, they're going to use IG again. So now Dark's got 12 in hand, they've got 5 saved, they're going to activate 12 next turn. They'll have 17, 12 in hand, plus a card choice from that 17. So Dark's all set up to do whatever they want. All right, let's tell another joke. What happens when you run behind a car? You get exhausted. Only stupid jokes are allowed, FYI. Lazlomi's going to the Lars farm for some reason. Ooh, EPP Han, so he can flip. All right, so we're going to see, let's see, is there a none shall pass or anything? We're going to see some action here. Characters are deploy +1 with despair. We're going to see a Chewie enraged. So Lazlomi flipping let Light now draw 3 destinies here because he's got ability. He's got Han adds 1 with Chewie, and then the objective adds 1. So for 2 smugglers, that's 3. Chewie gets a use pile pull with I must be allowed to speak, and Chewie adds +2 to each destiny draw. He plays draw their fire, but Stunning Leader will exclude Han and Fett, and it's just going to be Chewie against IG. Chewie has a 2 upkeep, meaning if he battles... Ooh, mishap to cancel Fett's text. That's huge. That was probably his use pile pull. So now Fett won't be able to swap for Stunning Leader, but Dark does have 12 in hand. So if Dark has the stunning already, Light's pretty screwed here. Light plays 1 to battle. He'll only have 2 left, meaning he can't both pay upkeep and move Lazlomi. He just leaves Lazlomi hanging out to dry. So he battles. I imagine opts not to retrieve, withdraw their fire, but Dark's going to lose 1. No, he did. He did retrieve. Why? I guess because he's not going to be able to lose Chewie because Dark's... I guess he's assuming he's going to send Chewie... He's going to lose 1 to send him used, and then he'll move Lazlomi in. That's his thought. Might as well retrieve one. Apollo loses Greedo from hand, but he says, oops, didn't want to do that. He meant to react with Greedo. He didn't realize he was losing first. So he clicked Greedo, thinking he was clicking Greedo to react, but it clicked to lose him for draw their fire. So they reverted. Of course, that's not something that happens in real life where your opponent's like, lose one to draw their fire, and you lose the character you were going to react with. It's just a clear misclick. So Mike, of course, lets him revert that. Did you hear about the new pirate movie? It's rated R. Alright, so now Dark is going to get a Destiny, so Light will forfeit Chewie. Light... Ooh, I don't like that. Light pays 1 to shoot at Greedo. Now they're not going to have a force to move Lomi. I don't know. I guess so Light is like, I have to clear out enough forfeit to kill IG. If you can just pull everything all game, I'm gonna lose. So I need to break your forfeit. And Greedo's only forfeit 4 because it's not the court objective, and Fett's 6, that's 10. And you're drawing 3 at +2 each, so you're basically getting 6 + 3 Destiny. You're probably clearing everything anyway. I don't know that I would have paid to fire. I would have just gone ahead and lost. He shoots Han. So you're going to lose Han, and you're not going to be able to pay Chewie's upkeep. So Lomi's just going to be hung out to dry no matter what. You're going to clear, but Dark's still going to have Scum. They can come down with something, battle Lomi and retrieve, and then move in. I think Dark's just on a runaway train here. You can never explain puns to kleptomaniacs because they take things literally. All right, so Light draws 5-3-3, which is pretty unfortunate. It was basically they drew a 3-1-3, but it became a 5-3-5, so 13. They will clear all of Dark, but 3-1-3 is pretty ugly. They opt to lose Han. I'll probably send Chewie used by losing one, and Lomi's just there. So Corrin will get freed here, as Chewie did survive the battle. He'll control the audience chamber and be able to free him. But Dark has a healthy hand, healthy activation. Scum is still on table. So what we're going to see happen here is Dark will activate 11. That'll give him 15. And with 11 in hand, he 100% has a character or multiple characters. He'll be able to drop in Lomi, battle, retrieve, and then move inside to protect that Scum. Alright, so Light has not played aim high. That's a mistake. Dark retrieves with their objective, retrieves 1. Light needs to play aim high right now, because otherwise Dark's going to get to retrieve off of Scum and draw their fire this turn too. So even though he missed it for the control phase retrieve, he still needs to play it right now. I mean, yeah, the match is pretty over. Light right now has 36 plus 7 in hand, 43. Need to win by 28, so they can deploy 15 more cards, and they have to make Apollo lose like 40. Maybe they can get a Han tripler beatdown or something. All right, so we see Proxima go inside. Still no aim high. Hondo going outside. audience chamber pulls something. And I think if you are, pulls the Dengar, if you are Hondo and Aura with blasters in there, you go ahead and deploy her too. And try and just get overflow here. And more board presence. She only costs 3, and you can hit. No, Cad Bane. Why? I mean, he's just going for the win, I guess. He's just playing extra safe. I probably would have saved Cad Bane in hand, battled, retrieved, and then moved Hondo inside. So you still have 3 characters there for Proxima. Still no aim high. So Scum retrieves 2, Draw Their Fire retrieves 1, and all of that retrieval is free. So now Dark is down to just 1 force in Lost Pile. And power 7 to light covers 4. So light is losing Lazlomi and 3 or Hujix. And of course is way set back on flipping anything like that. Light side should pull aim high. But I've been there myself where you forget. Once you realize though, yeah, I mean he must not realize it, because I've had it where I'm thinking they're paying 1 to retrieve all game and they're just not. Maybe he doesn't realize, but yeah, after that control phase retrieval, he should have realized and pulled it. So Dark moves in. This is now pretty impregnable. Dark gets 2 destinies, 2 shots. Like Light's not going to clear that out, not going to do any overflow, and now Dark has Scum to just do stuff. They don't have the IG pull anymore or anything, but they'll still have Scum retrieval, objective retrieval, and they can just draw their cards naturally. They're still at 10 in hand to Light 7 in hand, and way better board position. And of course the huge game 1 win. So alright, so Light flashes Outrider. I think we'll see it go over to Corellia, deploys -1 there. Nope, Apollo verifies he activated Dash. So it's interesting. Did he shuffle? Because he drew Dash for Destiny last turn. He didn't spend 17 force, did he? On the Han and Chewie and everything? Apollo said, not really what you wanted. Yeah, I think we'll see a concede at some point. I don't know, maybe Mike's going to play it out just for pride and to just try and win it, but we are going to hit the point where he cannot win the match fairly soon here. All right, we see an attack. Rio and Val are coming in. Elors. Probably see another smuggler outside to flip so Light can add a destiny. Of course, Dengar is going to shoot up multiple people. And there's a Lando, who's going to get a use file pull. All right, here's a question for you. Which side of a tiger has more stripes? See if you can figure out which side of the tiger has more stripes. Ooh, Obi, he'll swap something. Apollo says, you really want the AC, don't you? Yeah, I mean, if Scum is just allowed to stay up alive all game, Dark will just outlast Light Side and win the game outright. I don't think Mike has a way to win the match, but if he wants to win the game, I think he is just committing to taking the AC. So Just ask Joe if they should. Yeah, light should. If they're, if they're good enough, they should pull him high. Dark gets 3 destinies because Proxima's adding 1. And what's the other one for? What am I missing? Oh, Dengar adds 1 against Step. So Dark gets 3 destinies. Light's just getting 1. Light gets to fire once. They might have Sorry combo here. Clear Dengar. If not, they're just going to lose a bunch here. 2 guys are going to get hit. Plus 3 destinies. So which side of a tiger has the most stripes? The outside. That's a fact. That's true, actually. Dark shoots and hits Val. Oh no, he shoots Elors. What? Why? Power 3, 4'4". This guy's power 3, 4'4". She's power 2, 4'4", but as a gun, he's power 2, 4'4". Why Elors? He's ability 2, so's Rio, I guess, but so's Val. Why is he not shooting Val? I don't understand this. She can forfeit in place of your hit V13 smuggler here, which is Rio. So she can forfeit in place of Rio, restoring him to normal. So you just made your Rio, whose power is forfeit 0, essentially forfeit 4, because he can do Val in place of, instead of just hitting Val. You hit Val and Elors, and you definitely don't shoot Rio if Val's not hit. Even if she is hit, she forfeits in place of first. I don't. All right, let's do another joke. How do you kill a circus? You shoot it in the jugular. That's a good one. All right, Dark draws 4-2-4, so they get a 10 total battle destiny. Obi-Wan, of course, forfeits for 9. So Dark drew 1 too high. Lando's 4, Val's 4, so that's 8. So it's going to be, Light can leave 1 of their... Oh, no, because Val will forfeit in place of Rio, restoring him to normal. That was just a mistake. So now Light can either lose Lando Rio or Obi, because she covered her 4 forfeit. Instead of everything being cleared except for maybe 1 smuggler, Light gets to have 2 smugglers or the Obi. Hondo. Wait, why is Dark losing so many cards? Val, of course, hit Dengar, but Light smoke screened for a 6, and everyone forfeited for 5. Proxima was a 6, but he didn't want to lose Proxima, so he opted to lose Hondo and Cad Bane at 5 each to cover that smoke screen. Smoke screen's an interesting card there. All right. What do you call a person who's happy on Monday? Retired. Okay, Mike Turner conceded here. He's at 32, technically, and 1 in hand, so 33. If he drew 6 cards to go up from his 1 in hand, he can no longer win by now. Even with Draw Their Fire, he's just like, all right, Dark has 10 cards in hand. Clearly, they're going to come down with 2 more aliens. They'll retrieve with their objective. They'll battle, retrieve 2 with Scum, retrieve 1 with Draw Their Fire. They will, unless Simple Tricks comes out, they'll have no lost pile. They'll clear OB. So it was a valiant effort by Mike, but that first game setback was so bad, it really warped this second game too. Congratulations to Apollyon for winning the MPC Consolation. Thanks again to Mr. Chris Gogolin, Mr. Taco Bill for helping put on this event. and everyone else who's involved in all their volunteer work. JNAP for his marketing, organizing all the streaming for this, and of course his organization of the retro event, the Premier to Death Star 2 event, which also ended today. That finals earlier was Bastion versus Hayes. I will not spoil the outcome. If you have not watched it, you can go to the PC's Twitch channel or YouTube to watch the finals of that retro event. That was a good event. Congratulations to both Hayes and Bastion for their excellent play there. Congratulations to both Mike Turner and Apollyon for their excellent play in this Consolation event. We are now done with all current ongoing majors. We have the OCS going on right now. We're in the month of June. It is not too late to register for June. It's only the 6th of the month, and there is still lots of games to be played. We just started the second season of 2021, meaning your score will be cumulative, besides being able to qualify by being one of the top 2 finishers each month in June, August, September. I think there's a break in July. I know there's a break in there. I think it's the month of July because Nationals is that month. But over the 3 months that it occurs, 3 of the next 4 months, your score will be cumulative. There will be 2 at-large bids. So if you want to try and maximize your cumulative score over those 3 months to qualify for the top 16, jump in now, join the June OCS. Other than that, with the retro event ending today and the Consolation MPC ending today, there's no other major events going on, but there's still lots of Star Wars. There's plenty of leagues going on. If you want to check on the forums for your local area and see if they're running any online leagues that might turn into in-person soon. We have the Star Wars Nationals, the sometimes called Continentals. It is coming up the weekend of July 17th, just over a month. That was announced last week. I believe just yesterday, the link to within the last day or two, the link to book hotels was put up. And at the hotel where it's being held, the link to register on the PC store was put up. So you can now go and register for Nationals. It is in Denver that weekend of July 17th. It's going to be our first Star Wars major since January 2020, the Indoor Grand Prix, the last pre-COVID event. We're now at a safe enough spot where we can hold some in-person tournaments. So please get vaccinated to come out, play at Nationals. And yeah, OCS Nationals. And then we got a new set coming up in about sometime in the next month. We'll be having I think it's 15 coming out. And so lots of Star Wars going on. Come enjoy, play some Star Wars online and in person. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you around.